Welcome to Don't Get This Twisted. I am Rob, along with my always co-host Tina. Tina, how you doing today?
I'm hanging in there, Rob. It's been kind of a crazy week, but I'm glad I'm here.
Yes, the stories we tell before we come on the air.
I just came back from Havasu, so we were in a storm, and I was like, oh shit, I hope we make it on time because I have to get my stuff set up, and it worked. I don't know how.
I think you caught the storm that was here yesterday.
Oh yeah.
Oh, dude, I had my dog at the park.
Yeah.
And it was blustery, like it was windy, but it hadn't started raining. We got about halfway through the park and it just dumped, like insanely dumped. We had to run, and then we're like running to the car and thunder hits, and then he fucking freaks out, freaks out. So I have to like grab him and calm him down. I'm like, it's okay. And we run. We get in the car and I can't see because my glasses are completely covered. It's dripping all over me. And I look over at my dog and he like looks back at me and he's just like, I'm like, it's all right, dude. We made it. Then we drove to another park to just kind of watch the rain for a few minutes. And he started getting a little antsy. Like he was kind of turning in his seat. And I just think he was like, look, I'm not cool with this. It's new, and get me the fuck home.
Yeah.
So I did, I wanted to make him happy. So I took him home. But once we got here, he was great. Got inside the house, shook all over the place. And I had the window open, rain down, thunder hitting. He didn't do shit.
Nice. Go
figure. No, but it was weird. I was like, really? We're outside, but it was a little spooky. But it was, pouring where I live. So much that it had flash flood warnings.
Yes.
On my way home, there was like 2.5 to 3 inches of water already in the street in about less than an hour.
I got to tell you, that's kind of how it was today. We were looking at the clouds and everything was beautiful. And then next thing you know, we were driving about 20 miles an hour on the freeway because it was so flooded. You just had to take your time.
Yeah. And you can't see.
Barely 45 minutes, an hour tops. I don't even think it was that long. Sky opened up, beautiful clouds again. And we just kept going.
Yeah, kept going. Isn't that wild?
It is.
Pretty bizarre. So today we as always, throw text messages at each other about, hey, what are we going to talk about today? Because we used to be really good about doing these shows in advance, and we really don't do them anymore like that. Mm-hmm. Although I kind of like it this way because we're really close to when the show comes out now, and it's really way more close. Because some of those shows we did before, they came out a month after we recorded it, and I would listen to them and go, yeah, it's like we're way in the past. So yeah, I kind of like it better this way.
Nice.
But we were talking about, what would you do for happiness, or, what would you give up for happiness? And I think they're kind of a two-way street of giving things up and, or what would you do? And I found it kind of interesting to a couple of things that we said before we got on the air. People are willing to do a lot of things for happiness. And I think, we should kind of talk about like what we think happiness is, at least for each other, and or what we think happiness is for people.
Well, what do you think it is for you?
These days, I think it's being level-headed, being calm with the world, being, I just don't, I want things to be easier. So I would like things to, I don't want to, not that I don't want to care about money. It's just not the biggest priority. So if I can live a decent life and be happy where I'm at and still make the same amount of money and I'm good, I want to be there. I'm just looking for, I think, a little slower pace in life. And I think that would make me happy. Now, where that is, I don't know. But I think that's what I'm looking for. Maybe just a little more peace of mind and a little relaxation and a little slower pace in life. That's what I'm looking for. And I think that's what would make me happy. That's what I think. What about you?
That's a good question. I think being able to have very authentic relationships with the people in my life right now, and being able to be honest and forthright as to who I am and what I do and where I go and what I see and who I am, just being able to be real and not hide who I am is making me happier. But then it doesn't, because then I wonder, are people going to judge me because of what I say or how I say it, or who I'm saying it to? I don't know. I think it's just, for me though, is having really good relationships and being honest and open and being able to sleep at night knowing that, I have really close relationships with people that they could tell me anything and I could tell them anything and we're okay. Also, I think my family being healthy makes me happy. When people aren't healthy and I have to step in and take them to the hospital or make them chicken soup because they're really sick, that kind of wears on me a little bit, I've noticed. So
I
as
can
long
see
as
why.
my people are okay and I could still live, I'm still living, work isn't that great, but I find this time of my life, I'm probably happier than I've ever been. But I think I worked on myself so much over the last 10 years and worked at fixing my own attitude towards life. I think that's what's made me happy.
Yeah, I can see that. I think kind of the same with me. It's like you have to find that place.
Yeah.
We've strived for something for so long, and then trying to make other people happy for so long that it's okay, I think, where we're at in life to go, look, I need to be happy. And whether you are in it, great. But if you're not, great.
I'll still be okay.
Yeah, we're all going to be okay.
Yeah.
And I don't mean to say that in a bad way, like, oh, fuck everybody, because I'm not trying to say it that way. I'm just trying to say that it's okay to want more for yourself, to a degree. You're still going to give to everybody, mostly in your case, because that's who you are as a person.
Thank you.
But I think that, well, it's true, but I think that there is something with people in general that you have to put more in your own jar sometimes than put in other people's.
And really, I've noticed since getting divorced, I had to really look at what is making me happy, who is making me, or not who's making me happy, because I don't think anybody else. I think that who I'm around makes me happy, depending on their attitude and their personality and how they take life in. It's amazing how even a long phone call sometimes from somebody that I haven't talked to, that even makes me happy because I get to hear how everybody's doing and not be right next to them to see it. So I'm finding blessings in the little things because life is still really fucked up. There's still a lot going on. Work's still not where I want it to be. The divorce still isn't where I want it to be. Life isn't exactly where it is, but I can honestly tell you that in my heart, I feel happier than I've been probably in all the years that I've known you.
Wow. That's a pretty big statement.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think that happiness is a very weird balancing act of what it is you're looking for. Because we talked before we went on, and like, is it a person? Is it a relationship? Is it a job? Is it this? Is it that? And I think that coming from the standpoint of a person, we're a big puzzle, right? Most of the pieces are our own. And then we fill the rest of these pieces up inside of us with the people we want to be around, the job that you want to be in, the place you want to be in, who really is in your life. We all have acquaintances. We have a small amount of friends, though. And I think that that's the other thing is who do we want to fill that friend role and who we want to fill the acquaintance role. Because we need both, I think. Generally for me.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to say generally for me, acquaintances are work people.
Mm-hmm.
I generally don't get close to people from work for obvious reasons, because I have very different views than people. So I try to do my best to keep them at a distance.
Yeah. The other day, I was cooking for everybody in Havasu, the girls that I went with. We were all together, and I was like dancing in the kitchen. I was making food, and I thought to myself, "Damn, I haven't felt this happy in a long time." And I had to take a minute and be like, "All right, you're doing okay," because I really was happy. I caught myself in a moment where I was like, "I got this."
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that was kind of cool, because this has not been an easy couple of years. So, but I'm managing, and I don't know if it's time, my age, or if it's more my outlook, the fact that I'm not attached. I don't know what the hell it is, but I'm kind of liking it.
I mean, I think with you, you're going through something, obviously. You know, you're going through a different part of your life. You're going through something big in life at a much different part of your life. So I think that, you know, you're finding happiness as you go every day now.
Yeah.
You're either finding it or getting rid of what you think is the negative part of that happiness. So, you know, it's funny, you talk about like things that keep you happy or sane. Like this podcast for me is very therapeutic, very cathartic. So, you know, I was just looking because someone was like, "Man, you know, how long have you done this?" And I was like, you know, I know we're creeping up on a year, and we are. September 16th is when we put out our first episode.
Nice.
So literally, this one's going to come out on the 14th. So it'll be almost
Friday.
Oh, well, yeah, Friday is the day. So Wednesday is when this one is coming out. Just think that like literally this is kind of our 1 year show.
Who would have thought
in a roundabout way?
A stack of pancakes would end up in a year of doing a podcast?
You know, I didn't think that because I went to that breakfast for a different reason.
Yeah, we need to unload.
we needed to unload. Yeah, because at that time that was a whole, you know, everything was kind of going different directions for both of us.
Mm-hmm.
And funny that we are talking because we both weren't happy for different reasons. You know, we were happy, but we weren't. It was kind of this balancing act of finding happiness or finding out what we thought happiness was. So, you know, a year later, look at us, we're still pumping these out and I'm having way more fun than I've had in a long time. So
that's awesome.
So I have found something that makes me happy. It's kind of nice.
Mm-hmm.
But what do you think people are willing to do? I mean, most people.
I don't think most people are willing to do much.
I agree.
If you look at people across the people that you know, most people are in marriages they're not exactly happy in, doing jobs that don't fulfill them, with kids that are a pain in the ass. You know, there's obstacles and turmoil at most most ways they turn.
Yeah, I agree. I think most people, and again, not that they like to sit in the shit, because nobody likes to wallow in shit. I mean, if people really think that people do, and there are people who love drama.
Yeah.
But I think most people, you know, we get into this routine, but happiness is a hard thing because you might be with somebody who you're totally in love with, but their idea of the future is nothing like yours. And it's a hard thing where you're like, oh, it's like everything's good except this. Like, I want to move across the country, but the other person's like, I don't want to go anywhere. My family's here. What I did this, I want this. Like, I'm happy with the way things are. And it's like, where do you get to a point where it's like, what makes you happy? Are you willing to get rid of that relationship to further your own happiness? And that's a rough thing for people. Like, I don't know. I know a lot of people. Well, I did. I think most of the people I knew that were in bad marriages are now not in them.
Really?
But it took a long time. And I mean a long time. Some people, well, I knew one person in Vegas took fucking 17 years. And it took her husband cheating on her to get out of the relationship.
Really? Why is that the catalyst? Why doesn't it stop way before it's there? Like, do you really need to know how bad it has to be before you know you should do something, or should you be doing something all along? I think we should be doing something all along.
I agree. But look, people get in a routine. They had 2 children. She was a stay-at-home mom.
Yeah.
Things were good on the surface until you find out about other things. I had another friend that I worked with for a long time that just was not in a healthy relationship, but it's hard to get out of one when you're married and have kids and you don't know how to escape. And, you think
I went through that. Yeah.
You think, what's my level of happiness and what's my level of unhappiness? It's like, well, happiness is still above that one. It's like, yeah, but by how much? To me, you have to start working on percentages. Like you're never going to be 100% happy. That's just a pipe dream, Hollywood, bullshit.
I think you can be 100% happy. You just have to be happy with the fact that things are not perfect.
Correct. Well, and I use that couple of percentages as that 2% unhappy is the regular everyday life. I think you can be on a very high level of happiness, but you also have to, assuming that it's the relationship part of it, you have to be 150% honest.
Yeah.
You can't be 100% honest. You have to be 150% honest.
That honest thing is big.
Yes.
I love now that I'm not hiding who I am or what I've done or what I need. That took me a long time to start asking for that, because I thought that people would love me if I could do things for them, if I could make their life easier. But that's not it. That is not what makes anybody love you. Nothing you do makes somebody love you. That's energy that they create in themselves towards you. And you just need to be you. And if they like you or love you, they will.
For sure.
It took me a long time to figure that out.
I've got to a point in my life where I realize I am who I am.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm not going to change. And truly, I haven't changed a lot since I was 20. I may think different ways, but I think that most of my thought process is pretty much the same.
You think so?
And the few people that know me and have known me that long pretty much have told me, like, yeah, you're pretty much the same person. And I just don't bend. And look, I think I shouldn't say that. I bend, but I only bend a certain degree to where, like, I'm not going to pull punches. And if I see something, I say something, and then I worry about the repercussions afterwards. And it gets me in trouble. and it's got me in trouble in relationships before and in friendships, because I just don't pull any punches. And because I think it's better to be like that, because it makes me happier. I am who I am. And I'd rather someone go, God, I really don't like that about you, but I like everything else. I'm like, okay, well, that's cool, because I probably don't like something about you, but I overlook that as well.
Yeah.
Because I find that the 99% of the person is great. That 1% bugs me, but I can still go, it is what it is.
Well, I think as we've gotten older, we've learned how to accept that people aren't perfect. And if we're going to be friends with them, we have to deal with the fact that they're not perfect. And what bothers us is our problem, not them. Yeah.
Right. But I think in today's climate, the political based climate, your friends cannot be your friends the next day. And it's very bizarre.
My friends and been noticing we don't agree on a lot.
Mhm.
And there's a lot I won't even tolerate. Like I have one friend that um she will say all these things and I'm like, okay, I can't go do what you got to do. Like go. She was with me in Havasu and I was like, go get your cigarettes, go do what you got to do. Go like, I don't want to hear the political bullshit. You know, I can't take it. Or the TV shows of the nonstop news of how, one side of the political party is
Mhm.
just ape shit crazy and the other side's the moral compass.
Mhm.
When she watched those, as soon as she left the room, I went and turned it off and turned the radio on. I'm like, yeah, we're not going to have this where everybody feels frustrated.
Yeah, and like again, that's to me that's daily happiness.
Yeah.
Like I think you have to find daily happiness to make sure that you have longevity in happiness, because you can have a great day and then have a shitty month.
Yes.
And that happens more than often.
Mm-hmm.
But to me, it's like, what are you willing to do? Like, and like we just talked about before, our friends, most of them, or people that we've known in our life, weren't willing to do much for happiness, because it's sometimes getting happiness, you have to cut ties with people, move, find a new job, many, many different things. So for me, I think it comes with age as well. I
Mm-hmm.
think some younger people will do anything for happiness because they have freewheeling and no children and aren't married and can pick up the small amount of shit they have, put it in a car and leave.
That's me right now.
But okay, then there's the middle ground of the late 20s to early 40s, where you're probably in a relationship that's pretty good. You probably have children that you love immensely, even though they drive you incredibly bonkers.
Yeah.
You have a job that's paying all the bills, but you might not be happy at it. Then there's someone that I would say is the late 40s and on, who you're kind of in a balancing act of everything. You still have the intelligence to get a great job, but you're in a weird market because young people are taking them. So it's hard to move to find another job. But I think, with being able to do it online, maybe it's a little simpler. If you're single and your kids are older, you definitely have this newfound open to hit the road, go somewhere else, start a new life, become a new person, and start over, which is kind of where you're at and kind of where I'm at. I have a kid at home still, but obviously he's going to be 20 in December, and things, who knows with him. He may come with me, he may not. But I have the option of, it's okay. I can pick up my shit. I got a dog and a car, and I can skedaddle out, and I can go anywhere in this country if I want to.
Yeah. I've noticed that in that age group bracket, the older age bracket, that people are afraid more so than any other age to make changes, to get divorced, to get a new career, to try different things, to move different places. And I think it's because at some point you settle for the life that you have, even if you're not completely happy with it, you learn how to deal with it because you make it not so bad. And I think that comes with age too, which is why it seems like it's more prevalent as you get a little bit into your 50s. But I think that those are the people that I kind of feel for. It's like you're not making any attempts at making your life better because you're learning how to live in what you've created, whether that be good or bad. You're stuck in it. That kind of makes me sad for people.
Well, yeah, I mean, because your life is, we only have a infinite, finite years.
Yeah.
And I think I'm coming to a part where like I haven't experienced things. I was that person of I'm okay right here. I'm okay. I lived in the same condo for 15 years. I had it before my wife. I had it up until we got divorced, and that's when I decided, okay, I'm going to go to Vegas and do this. And then I came home and went to Camarillo and didn't live in the Valley, and then moved to where I live now. And I was willing to just go, okay, it's because it's only a jump. It's just life. Like it's okay. But it took a long time for me to realize that I've missed out on things because I was in that same mindset. Totally played it safe. That's the easiest way of putting it. Because I thought that was happiness.
Yes.
And
that's being content or being settled, but that doesn't necessarily mean happy.
No.
Yeah.
No, that's for sure. I mean, look, I have a friend who was in a relationship for, I think she was in it for 10 years and was not in a happy place. I mean, to the point where she was just with the wrong person.
Yeah.
I mean, for sure, with the wrong person. Now is in a relationship and in a better place from what I understand. That sometimes it just takes that. But you have to get off that ride sometimes because the ride is hurting your neck. And you can only take that hurt neck for so long. You got to get off that roller coaster, man, because it's slowly fucking you up. And I think we all have to find whatever gumption it takes to, when the ride stops, to push the fucking bar forward and go, look, I got to get on a new ride. Like, this shit is fucking me up. And I've seen it. And a lot of these people that I'm talking about that are in my life or around me have done okay. Look, they all struggle. Everyone struggles when you start on your own again. That's just a fact. It's just not easy. So, that you got to find that happiness. And I think that it's there. You can find it. I mean, but what are you willing to do? I'm willing to do anything now. I just think I'm at that point in my life where it's like, it's just, go. Well, what's the worst that can happen? You go. If it doesn't work, you find something else. You pack up your shit again, get in another truck and drive somewhere else.
When my mom died, I realized that the only thing final on this earth is death. Nothing else stays the same. Just death. Right. They're not coming back. There's no resurrection. They're gone. So until that happens to us, life is a possibility. It just depends on what road you want to take. And if you take a wrong road, it's very easy to take a few steps back and go a different direction. You could do that at any time. Having the courage to do that is another thing. But I think that the more you do that, the more that you try to make things better, the more that you work on yourself. I think that's a key part, is working on yourself. The better life gets. When my mom died and I was 40, I was going through a bunch of things. I've talked about all those things before, but I was devastated. There was no smile on my face. There was no pep in my step. It was just a crappy existence. I had been hit in so many levels. I couldn't hold my head up anymore. So going back to school and taking psychology classes and working on my own shit really gave me what I needed to further my life and go through things and be better and have more for myself. It taught me that life is not as hard as it needs to. We're making it. It doesn't have to be as hard as it needs to be. And it's up to us to make the changes. And every time you want to blame somebody else, your husband, your kids, your job, your life, you have to look at yourself, because it all starts with you. They can't change the way you feel. Only you could change the way you feel. So you have to do what you need to do to be happy.
agree. I think that look, everything's the mirror. If you have to make sure that the person you're looking at in the mirror is happy
Mm-hmm.
or on their way to happy or trying to be happy. That those are the things that to me are a daily struggle. Like it's hard some days to get up in the morning and find something that motivates you to do whatever. Um, but you at the end, it's still finding happiness or
Mm-hmm.
trying to find happiness. So I kind of agree with you with all what you just said. It's you have to start with you, because once you start with you, then the rest of the puzzle pieces start connecting, and you find someone who is a lot like you and
Yeah.
believes in how you feel, what your situation is in life. You know, they see you're happy with your job, they see you're happy with this, then it's just then they're happy, and then they're looking in the mirror being happy, and it's just, you know, repetitive thing of, hey, everything's okay. And again, I don't believe in the rose colored glasses. I understand that, like, look, life is not simple like that, but I think it can be the closest facsimile
Mm-hmm.
to being simple. You just you gotta try, and you gotta realize that it's something that's attainable.
And it's something inside of you. It doesn't come from outside influences. True happiness or being happy and content in yourself comes from you. You have to manifest that energy. And until you do, you're not going to be completely happy. And when you're not completely happy with you, you're not going to be completely happy in your marriage or relationships with your kids at your job, because you take that negativity with you.
Right? No, that's true. I mean, look at the people around us. I mean,
Mhm.
it's very easy to see. I think for me, because I'm kind of a people watcher.
Mhm.
I like to look at the people around me, and I hate to say psychoanalyze them, but you know, I try to, like, see, they if they say something, try to see what the outlying, you know, liars are of why that's happening. Um, and I these days I try to do it with myself, because I've gone through some shit over the last couple of months as well, where I'm just kind of like, oh, okay, well, this changed and this changed and this changed, and I'm like, okay, where did I have a part in that? And one part I had zero in. It's just like, oh, okay, what happens happens, and I was just kind of riding the wave, and I was like, okay. And then I think there was something else that happened to me that I probably did have a larger impact in, that I probably didn't see. But at the end of the day, that's it's still up to us to see what it is that you're doing, what you
Mhm.
think is your happiness. And I hope that more people out there try to find that happiness and take whatever steps it takes to get to there,
Take
whether
some
it's
risks. You
yeah,
know,
oh, for sure.
the people just don't do that. They stay where they
It-
are and they don't risk anything. I'm like, risk it all, because you could have it again, or you don't really need it. One or the other. Really. Be
True, but
happy.
we talked about that on one of our other shows. Like, taking a risk is a scary, scary thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's like walking a tightrope over fire. It's like, it's
Yeah.
great if you can make it to the end, but you know, instead of walking forward, you're always looking down, and you're afraid of falling. And the falling part is obviously what tears us down. It keeps us in the handcuffs that we're in. We handcuff ourselves. I mean, that's just a fact,
Mm-hmm.
because sometimes the handcuffs are more comfortable than you know taking them off, because taking them off gives you freedom to do whatever you want, but it also gives you freedom to get in trouble or to fail, and it's a hard thing to do.
That's exactly what I feel people are afraid of failing.
Yeah, I mean, it makes
I don't
sense.
I don't know why people look at it that way. It's not, we don't live in a pass or fail kind of life. We live in it could be this opportunity, but this may happen, that opportunity, but that'll happen. There is no pass or fail. We're not going to be happy if we do A, B, and C, or everybody would do A, B, and C and be happy. I think that people, myself included, don't want to rock the boat or maybe go through something that's going to leave a scar. And that's what stops them from doing things. Like, for instance, there's a part of me, huge part of me, that wants to sell all of my shit and go to Greece.
Mm-hmm.
But if I do that, there's repercussions. First of all, I'm going to be on my own.
Mm-hmm.
What happens if something happens to my dad or my brother or the kids or my cousin or whomever? Where will I be on my own? That scares me, to not have any of my stability. So it does stop me from trying that, even though there is this part of me that's like, fuck it, let's just go. Let's just do it. What do you have to lose other than everything that you're going to sell before you go? Did you care about it anyway? You really didn't. So I'm in the same boat that I won't do certain things to be happy just because the risk is so great. But I kick myself in the ass every day because I'm like, why are you not doing it now while you can? So I struggle with that.
That's why you have to go back and listen to our risk versus reward episode. Because we've talked about that as well, where there's a risk in everything. But there could be a payoff for you. That is definitely a large step. I don't know if I've ever asked you. Have you ever lived on your own?
No.
Yeah. See,
no.
That's also a tough one. Because I know another person who's never lived on their own, and what she ends up doing is she lived on her own for like 4.5 months and then jumped into a relationship, was in that for 10 years, got out of that one and then jumped into another one where, as far as I know, that person moved in with her because she's never been alone. So that's another like big reason a lot of people don't make these jumps, because they've never done it alone. And it's a step.
For me, I'm never really alone. Even if I was to go to Greece, I'm sure I would have people around me in no time. I'm a people person. They gravitate towards me. I don't know how the hell that even happens, but I'm not going to look a gift horse in the mouth. I just go with what I can and do, what I could do. But I always seem to have people around. So being lonely, I don't fear.
Mm-hmm.
But what if something was to happen and I'm alone and there's nobody that I could rely on for any sort of help? That part scares me.
Yeah. I mean, like for me, I've done it several times.
Yeah. You've done it in the States though.
No, I have, but being alone is a different thing. And I mean, truly alone. Like now I live alone, but I live with my son.
Mm-hmm.
So it's, as much as I'm alone, I'm really not. I mean, I did it in my 20s, like for 7 years.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, truly alone. Come home, didn't have a girlfriend, had cats, sat on the couch, watched TV by myself, got up the next morning, went to work, and just wash and repeat.
Yeah.
So it is different. Some people can't handle that. It's definitely a different thing to be truly alone. I mean, I can do it. It's not a big deal for me. Like, I know that if and when I'm alone again, I'll be fine, just because I know how to handle that. And I think it's And it's also different now. We have phones that we can text people and
It's
FaceTime.
so
and
easy. It's not how it was when we were in high school, out of high school, trying to use snail mail and calling people from the kitchen phone. It's
exactly.
It's so not like that for anybody anymore.
Yeah. So things are definitely different. So, I mean, but you're still alone. There's not that one person that you can lean over and just talk to. You have to find that person right now.
Right.
But it's attainable. But some people just don't have that, even that part in them. They don't want to have that kind of emptiness or loneliness. And I get it. Like it's something that's, I think, is a learned thing. Like you have to be on your own to understand what it feels like. So when you don't have it, or when you're with somebody, it's a different feeling. But I think you don't fear being alone as much. Because then it's just like I can go back
sometimes. Like I know I don't get that much time where I'm completely alone, but the time that I do get where I'm completely alone is probably some of my favorite time, because I get to be in my own head. I get to look at what I want. I get to daydream a little. I don't have to hear anybody else's crap. I do look forward to my alone time, being able to read a book without being asked 100 times what I'm reading. I look forward to those times, but I don't think I did in my 20s, 30s, and even 40s. I had to learn that in my 40s. For sure.
It's a learned skill, even though you have to learn it by kind of going through some crazy nonsense.
Yeah.
Because it's, you realize it later, like, yeah, I'll be fine. I'm okay. Like, I can survive, and you just see things differently. And
completely.
And again, today, different. Cell phone strapped to us, can FaceTime, a plethora of online movie places. Like there, when I, in my early 20s, there was cable, but there was still only 20 channels that had nothing on it.
Or only one. Remember, on TV only had one station.
Or you're, when you really only had, 2, 4, 7, 11, 13, like you really only had 6 or 7 channels of real stuff. And then obviously cable came and things got different, but you had to find things. Like now, you can come home and there's a whole series on. You can watch a series in a week and like be enthralled and come home and can't wait to get home, watch your shit by yourself, pop your popcorn. No one's talking in your ear when you're watching it. No one's complaining about having to watch it with you. Like I make jokes about my dog. Like, having a dog's great. When I look over at him and I go, "Hey dude, you want to watch this?" And he says yes every time. Do you want to go to the supermarket? You want to go to the park and walk around? You want to get in the car and drive down the street? It's funny. He never says no. Doesn't bitch, doesn't complain. And I'm not saying that every boyfriend and girlfriend bitches and moans or says, complains about something. But I'm in a spot where like I have a pet that will never complain. Your cat will never say no to you.
No, she was really happy. I had to lock her out because she wanted my attention just like everything else does now that I'm back. And I'm like, I got to do the podcast. Take the cat. I got to go.
Yeah. I kind of had to do that with my dog right beforehand. So,
but it is nice coming home and having somebody who wants to be around you and be happy.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. And it's unconditional. It's funny.
So what would you do to be happy?
These days, teen, I think just about anything. And I mean, and I don't even know what that happiness is totally. But I think that I'm willing to pack up all my shit and move across the country. I'm willing to change jobs on a fly. I'm willing to be open to meeting whoever, wherever I go. I think it's just an open door. I think that happiness is there if you're willing to find it. And I'm not even saying it's a person, and it could be. I mean, there's, we've talked about people on the East Coast. There's somebody there that even if I'm not in a romantic relationship with them, I love being around them. And I could do that. I could really be around her a lot more. And there's just something we click when it comes to some things, and it's fun to just be around her. But that's not always the end game. The end game can be in Florida, in Texas, in Arizona. I don't know where my end game is, but I'm willing to try to find that end game.
Yeah.
And that end game is hopefully happiness. What about you? That's a hard one now, because you're in a like, I am willing to just jump out of the fucking airplane because I can, to a degree.
And I can too. I really can. I'm at the place for the first time where I could do whatever. What would I do? I don't know that I would leave my family. I'm having a hard time with that. When I was really considering moving to Greece, my niece threw a fit. Do I want to leave her? I don't know if I want to leave her at her age right now. Like, when you're so close to a child, how do you leave that child? You know, so I'm having a hard time with that. I definitely could move out of the area here. I've looked as far as Northern California, looking down towards Southern California, probably staying in the state. But if there were opportunities and I knew it was a good time and I felt okay, because with me, everything starts with a feeling, I could see leaving the state, staying on the West Coast somewhere closer to the West Coast.
Yeah, there's definitely places.
I left my relationship for both of us to be happy, because we weren't. So that was a big risk. I had to leave behind a lot of friends. That was a risk. Just because my old life worked for them, but my new life apparently doesn't, or maybe their new life doesn't. I don't know.
That's probably more the truth.
Because I make time for people. I really do.
Yeah.
So I would do what I'm doing. I worked on myself. I had to let go of situations that I couldn't fix. Like, for instance, with my daughter, with my ex, I had to learn how to like a new car, a new place to live, a new job. So I think for me, I'm doing it. For me, it's just like, you know what? Today's all we got. I'm going to find a way to be happy today, whether it starts with a phone call from a friend or a client that I had a good conversation with. I really do look for the happy every day. So I would say I'm in a really good place. I don't really get knocked over either with things that are going on in my life. I've noticed that when the shit hits the fan, and it does on a regular, I tend to be okay. I'm not having a hard time. Is it weighing on me? Yes. Like, for instance, we have a friend that's got cancer and he's not doing well right now. And the thought of it breaks my heart. It makes me cry. I've known him since he was 3. I was 5. So, you know, there's some really real things that are going on in my life, but I'm focusing on what I can do to help and what I could say, so that if we do have to be apart because of whatever, he knows how I feel about him. And I know how he feels about me, and we could hold on to that. So I think that that's also finding a way to be happy. You know, I know that if I was to die tomorrow, all of my friends and people that I love, they know I love them. I've made it known. I've worked on the relationships. I've given it all I've got, and I didn't leave anything unsaid. So I'm finding my happy. But life isn't easy.
No. And look, I think what you said was another thing, is we kind of talked before we got on here, you know, about being honest. And honesty is a big thing that I think opens and closes doors, but they open and close the right doors. If you're honest with somebody and they're your friend or they're your mate, you should be able to look past certain things and say, look, I understand, you know,
or love them through it.
And that's part of it. And finding that is, to me, part of the happiness is finding that one thing or one person that is just makes you smile in the morning. Sometimes it's just a fucking sunrise. I'll tell you, I walk the dog in the morning at 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning. And there's mornings I'm over, there's a parking lot that we walk through. And about 2 or 3 weeks ago, when it was still kind of, the sun was coming up in the morning, I would just stand in the parking lot with him and we just watch the sun come up. And it was the one thing where I'd go, okay, start of a good day. Like I'd take a little picture, I'd send it to a couple of my friends or post it and go, okay, this is how the morning starts. Now it's up to me to get through the rest of that day and try to be happy.
Mm-hmm.
But
I agree with that.
Yeah, I think happiness.
I'm not really a fan of early mornings, but I have gotten up on occasion to be with a friend that wanted to go to breakfast first thing in the morning, or in order to meet them, you get up before the sun's out. And then by the time you get there, the sun's out. And I got to tell you that a sunset kind of does change your perception of your day. It really does.
A sunrise and a sunset
was so beautiful. And I'm like, okay, God's working already. So let's just go and do what we got to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I've enjoyed that.
Again, it's easy to find. Sometimes it's easy to find the happiness, and sometimes you got to fight for it. So,
and always being in a place of being grateful does help an attitude immensely.
I agree, and I think that to the people who listen out there, if you're one of these people that are searching for happiness, and I think we all are at some degree. Mm-hmm. Find what it is that is driving you towards it. And in my case, I say run towards it and run hard. It's okay.
That's another thing. I think exercising really does change what's going on in your head. And you tend to be, or I tend to be, I'll just talk for myself. I tend to be happier when I'm physically doing something or active. When I get up and participate in my day, I do better. So that's even something that I do to be happy.
Yeah, it's a fact though. I mean, it lets out endorphins and
mm-hmm.
and it's usually the happy ones.
Mm-hmm. I gotta say too, hearing people in my life talk about how they love this podcast. We do this every week. We put out a lot of energy. You do a lot of stuff far beyond what I do, but we sit here and we talk and we put ourselves out every week. Mm-hmm. And I really like hearing, hey, you helped me, or I just needed to hear your voice. And I couldn't talk to you on the phone. I was listening to your podcast and I felt like you were right next to me. That makes me happy too, because I'm being of service in some way and didn't even know. It didn't take anything out of my day to do it because I enjoy what I do. But I really like getting the feedback that I am contributing in a small way to somebody getting through what they need to get through.
Totally. That's why I keep telling people, like, to share it and see if we can't help. If I say one thing that gets somebody to do something that makes them happy or sets them in a different path, awesome. Or if I say something that you go, I wish I could talk to that guy. Hey, we're here. Mm-hmm. Like, this is a pretty open forum and a pretty open podcast. I'll let anybody come on here. Anyone who wants to come on, talk with us, whether you're having an issue or want to yell at me, I'm more than happy to bring you on and be part.
I'm not that willing, by the way. So if somebody has a problem with me shoving up your ass, you're not coming on the podcast. But that's just me.
But I mean, within reason, obviously. I mean, we don't want to just have a scream fest, but we've had people on here who wanted to talk about darker things in their life, or how hard it is to be a parent when you're really on your own. And if those things help people, I want to continue to have people on that can tell their stories. whatever your story is, because that, you're right. It makes me happy as well. To the people who don't listen and you know who you are, if you're just hearing this every blue moon, we have 58 episodes. Go back and listen.
That is so insane. I'm actually proud of us because I know neither one of us thought that this was going to be anything big. I think we just went into it because we needed an out. So when I hear people download 12 episodes and listen to them all day because they're missing something, or they like what they heard, or they like our banter, it blows my mind.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Look, I mean, we take 45 minutes to an hour of someone's day. Mm-hmm. I appreciate people listening. I mean,
absolutely.
It takes a lot to do that, because I listen to other people's podcasts and I listen to this one. I do that more than I had in the past, because I want to kind of hear what the people who listen to this podcast. Mm-hmm. But I'm a podcast listener, and I have a 30-minute drive one way to work and about a 45-minute drive home. So I do take that time to listen to other people's podcasts and either learn from them and try to bring it here, or learn from them to not bring it here. Mm-hmm. Just how it comes across. So to me, it's that those are happy places. You're right. It's when someone says something about this, and I like criticism. I like to hear, well, I didn't like that part. And I'll go, okay, cool. Like, let me see why it didn't go over that well. Or if someone says something like you're saying, like, oh, it really made my day to hear your voice. Like my mom loves listening, because, and I do my best to call her whenever I can, but she does get to hear me on a totally different level. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of an interesting thing. And I know your dad hasn't listened, and I kind of wish he has. You need to.
I'm kind of okay that he hasn't, because
I don't think so. Because I think there's some really good episodes where we're just being honest with, how things are in life. And I think that it's okay. He doesn't have to listen to all of them. There's some skippable ones, and that's okay.
Yeah. But I think is a little afraid. I'm very open, and I've been very honest in ways that my dad has actually told me, just keep that to yourself. You don't need to tell anybody. So I get a little nervous. He's very open. Like if I told him, Dad, listen to this, I want you to hear this, he would. Mm-hmm. My brother too. He don't want to hear it either. He's like, I love your stories. I like the Cliff Notes. Just give it to me that way. Whatever you're saying on your podcast, I'm okay to stick my head in the sand and not know about it. My niece, however, listens to it.
Well, again, nothing to be, I don't think that, look, we don't cross too many crazy lines. There's going to be some shows coming that we've talked about that are going to cross a line, that literally I've already started thinking about the recording that will be in the front end of that podcast. Because there'll be a disclaimer. There'll be a warning and a disclaimer, because it's probably going to get, really down and dirty. And if it ends up the way that we're talking about it, where it's me, you, and two other people literally sitting in the same room instead of doing it over video.
We're really going to do that.
I think so, because I think it'll be a much more fun show where we can really bounce things off each other. There'll be a lot more laughter, and I think there'll be a lot more really real banter, because those things will just kind of pop out of your head, because you'll hear somebody right in front of you talking about it, and you'll chime in right next to it. So I think it would be a lot more fun. And if the ideas go the way that we're talking, like I think we could record a show, go get food, eat, talk about a second show, and then come right back and do another show. So we can kind of do them back to back and kind of do 4 or 5 hour sit down of show, dinner, show, and kind of go that route. So
you've been thinking we're going to have to talk offline.
I have. And I think that they may end up being a long format, like hour and a half shows where, people will probably have to take several days to listen to them. Or like if you listen to us on a ride somewhere, you might have to listen to it in two parts. But I have some ideas, and my brain's always working about this. Heaven forbid, my poor work, they get about 75% work out of me, and 25% go to ideas.
Yeah, because I know
podcast.
we text on a regular.
Yeah, so I'll be like, oh, because something will come to my head, and I'm like, oh, like I got to get this out, or I'll blast to somebody else and go, hey, I have this idea. What do you think? Just to see from a regular person's standpoint, and then they'll send it back to me.
A regular person? Am I not a regular person?
No, because you're part of the show. I mean, someone who is a listener.
I get you.
Because I'm like, hey, what do you think? And then they'll come back to me, and then I'll send it out to you like, oh, what do you think about this? And then we'll bounce it off, and I'll go, okay. So I kind of see it from two different directions. I just
always say yes. My job is not to say no when it comes to this. My job is like, let's talk about it. I'm ready.
Sort of true, but sometimes it's good to get like, I know where you're like, oh yeah, we can talk about that. Or you're like, yeah, let's do this. It's like, okay, there's things that you're willing to jump into, and then some things that you do because it's the thing to do.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like there's shows that I've done that, again, like some of the heavier stuff that I was a participant only by being here. Mm-hmm. So, and like, that's okay. Like I said, I want to get way more people on here to do interviews, and I thought it would be easier, but some people are very standoffish and like, oh, I don't know if I can do that. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, you can try, but I think it's a good thing to have somebody on, because we can have fun, and I can go ask interesting questions. But I don't know.
With the shows that we're going to do, the less I have to say, the better I think I will be.
I think that those shows will be bouncing off other people and what they think people are like. So it should be fun. But we're way ahead. We're at an hour, which is long for us generally. But we were bullshitting and having all kinds of fun when it comes to that. So I guess you can listen to this show on Apple and Spotify, Google, Amazon, iHeartRadio, anywhere that podcasts are generally listened to. We want you to subscribe, or what's the other one?
Follow,
subscribe or follow, because then these will download onto your phone, and you'll get a little message. Like if you on Spotify, it'll say, hey, this show is new. Also, we're on Facebook, Instagram, sometimes Twitter, under Don't Get This Twisted. Anything else to say there, Miss?
I've gotten a lot of calls from friends that have been listening to the episodes, and all of you, thank you for supporting us and doing this. I've been quite surprised with who says they're listening, and embarrassed at times, but if you're listening, I'll be embarrassed. So thank you for listening and letting me know you're listening. I mean, please check in with me and let me know.
For sure. I totally agree. If you listen, please get a hold of me. Say something. We're looking for more listeners. Please share. And this is an opinion show, so don't get it twisted. Have some fun. Come back and listen. And every Wednesday, we'll be putting on a new episode. This is our 1 year. Thank you very much if you've listened, and keep on listening.
Amazing.
We will talk with you in a week.
Yes.
Sound good, Tina?
Sounds great. Have a good night.
All right. You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.